What is going on, guys? And welcome to our very first episode of the new series I'm calling The Purge. Now, what we're going to be doing in this new series is, in every episode, we are going to go over a different aspect of TIG welding. Now, I know you guys are super interested in a lot of this stuff, so what I figured I'd do is we create a series where we're going to break down bit by bit every single aspect of TIG welding. So, be prepared for a bunch of episodes. We're going to get into everything that you could possibly think of. I do get a ton of questions on my videos about TIG welding, about various things. So, just for example, in this particular video, episode 1, we are going to be going over the namesake of these video series, which is purging, back purging, getting argon coverage on the inside of your tubing or your weld or the back side of your flat plate weld or whatever it may be. That's going to be episode number 1. As far as further episodes go, we'll get into tungsten, we'll get into various cups, we'll get into gas lenses, we'll get into technique. But first, our first episodes are going to be involving all of this setup for your TIG welding rig. So it's going to involve the welders, what you should buy, what you need, you know, what type of tungsten to run, your setups, do you need water cooling, do you don't need water cooling, stuff like that. So as we go in this series, we're going to get more and more in depth into TIG welding right from the very beginning. So this first episode on purging is going to be a little bit ahead of the game, but what I wanted to do, is you guys can see in front of me here, is I have these new released from Ticon Industries and TIG Aesthetics purge plugs. So Ticon just released these a couple of weeks ago, and I got my hands on a set of them, which is awesome. So basically, you've seen me purge before, and you've asked why. You've seen me use aluminum foil to do it. You've seen me use aluminum plugs. You've seen me do all kinds of stuff. But these are a nice high purity silicone back purging setup. So what we're going to be doing today is I've got a couple of pieces of stainless and I've got a couple of pieces of titanium. And what we're going to do is we're going to butt weld those together. We're going to do half of the weld back purged. We're going to do the other half of the weld not back purged. And we're going to show you the different methods of actually back purging so that you guys can get an idea of what you should do. So I'm going to go ahead and unpackage these so that we can get these set up. I'll get some other purging stuff over here. I'll go find my aluminum foil that everybody loves so much. And we'll go over the different methods of back purging before we actually get into the welding side of things. Alright guys, so I got everything unpackaged and everything set up, and we're going to show you the different ways that you can actually purge. And there's 3 main ways that I use. So now what we want to do, obviously, with back purging is when you put these 2 pieces of tubing together, you obviously want to have your argon coverage over top of your weld so that you get a good looking weld on the outside. But you also want to put argon inside here and displace any oxygen that is in this tubing. And the reason that you want to displace the oxygen is because these metals, exotic metals they call them, stainless steel, titanium, Inconel, things of that nature, they are reactive metals. And you've heard me say that before in other videos, but a reactive metal will react with the oxygen in the air based on the temperature you get it to. So at a certain level, stainless steel, when it reaches a certain temperature, will begin to oxidize heavily as long as there's oxygen present in and about the vicinity of the part. Hence why you get a lot of the colors from stainless steel. The coloring is actually oxidation forming on the part because of the heating process and the oxygen in the area. Now, if you were to weld stainless steel in a complete argon chamber, you would see 0 color in the weld whatsoever. It would literally just be the color of the stainless steel. So what we want to make sure we do is get a good amount of coverage in both sides here. Now, normally what you do if you don't have access to everything you see in front of me here, which a lot of people don't when they first start out TIG welding because this stuff can get a little expensive, is your good old trusty aluminum foil. So now what we do with the aluminum foil is pretty simple. You tear off a piece, and once you get your piece torn off, you can break it into, you know, halves or quarters or whatever. And I actually like to fold it over once so that you get kind of a double shielding. Then you take one side of your tubing and you cover it with the foil. And then I usually take like a piece of welding rod or something of that nature, and all you want to do is literally poke a couple of holes in the end of it here, like so. And the reason you want to do that, and I can see you guys, the reason you want to do that is because when we push argon in from the opposite end, we need to displace that oxygen. We can't have the argon mixing with the oxygen. We need to get rid of the oxygen and replace it with argon. These holes are going to allow for the oxygen to actually come out the end here. So now on our other end that we're going to butt up like this, we take the other piece of foil, fold it in half just like we did before, and if you can imagine that this Sharpie is the hose carrying the argon, put that hose into your part, and then you just take and cover over that end. So now you've got your argon coming in through here, pushing all of the oxygen out of the holes that you just made, and now there's no oxygen inside this pipe, and with the cup that you're using and your oxygen flow from your torch, there's going to be no oxygen on the outside of the pipe. So you will get a much better looking weld. Now that's one way to do it, and that way it's crude, but it works. And obviously, you know, you'd be a little bit further away from the weld and things would be a little bit neater. But this method works. There are a lot of high-end welders that use this particular method because that's what they've done for their entire lives. And there's nothing wrong with this. So I don't want to hear you guys saying, oh, foil's janky, this, that, the other thing, because you know what? In all reality, it's not. It's totally fine to use foil in this application. Now, the second way that you can back purge, and you guys have seen me done this a bunch of times, and actually I kind of like this next way, is using these plugs right here. Now, I made these on my lathe out of aluminum. And all I did was start a taper at about 2 3/4 inches and taper it up to about 3 3/4 inches. So this one can be used for 3-inch pipe. This one can be used for 2.5-inch pipe. Same with this one, 2.5-inch pipe. And all I did was put some 1/4-inch air fittings on the end of it so that I can actually connect my hose. And then you pop the 3-inch in one end right here like this. You got your argon flow coming in. Put your secondary piece on. And then you use the good old aluminum foil trick on the other end with your holes in it. And the one thing that I really love about doing this and purging this way is that this aluminum plug has some weight to it. It probably weighs about 2 pounds or so. And what's nice about that is when you lay it down, it will hold your part to the table because it's heavy. And you can manipulate it and roll things around, and it gives you a little bit of extra weight so that your pipe's not dancing around as you're trying to weld it. You don't necessarily need to use a vise or anything because you have some weight in it. Same thing goes with the 2.5-inch plugs. These have a decent amount of weight to them, so when you put them into the ends of the tubing, they will weigh the tubing down and kind of give you a little bit more stability when you're welding that tubing without having to put things in a vise and do all that other stuff. So that method is another one. Now, you can buy these. There are people that make them. I'm not sure, you know, I've seen manufacturers that make these out of aluminum. But if you've got access to a lathe, you can go down to your local metal supply house, buy a chunk of billet aluminum, and just turn them out on your lathe. You know, make them up for you. You probably do it for 10 or 15 bucks. Now, the third method is probably the least cost-effective method. However, it is probably the easiest and the best method to use. Now, these are silicone purge plugs. All right, guys, so a little minor interruption there, but we're back. Like I was saying, the easiest way, the best way, the less, not really cost-effective if you're just starting out welding, but if you're welding a lot like I do, then these are going to be worth every single penny you spend on them. So what these are is a high-quality silicone purge plug. Now, they have, I don't know if you can see that well, but it's got a dispersion screen in it. to help actually flood the entire part with argon instead of a straight stream of argon like you'll get with just shoving a hose in the end of the pipe. And also same thing with the aluminum plugs, it's just got a hole in it, so you're just literally just firing in a stream of argon versus a nice diffused kind of blanket of argon, if you want to call it that. And now what's nice about these is they have a little titanium inlet, and then your outlet on the other side is just a small hole. And we have right here, this one does 1.5 to 2 inch, then we have a 3-inch plug, and we have plugs ranging all the way up to 4 inch. So I have 1.25 inch all the way to 4 inch. So if you're building manifolds, headers, turbo manifolds, you name it, these things are going to work great for round tubing. So with these, it's very, very easy, very quick. You literally take your pipe, you take one end, you pop the silicone plug in one end, you pop your outlet plug in the other end, and then you weld. And it's nice and clean. You don't have foil everywhere. You don't have a big heavy chunk of aluminum weighing down your tubing if you're trying to get, you know, some crazy angles out of it. And this makes life way, way easier. So what we're going to be doing today with these plugs, these new plugs, is we're going to be testing them out. We're going to do, like I said, we're going to weld half of this stainless steel without purge. Then we're going to weld the rest of it with purge. And by doing that, we'll be able to cut these in half and show you the exact problem that you'll run into if you don't purge these two metals. We have, again, we have stainless steel. I think this is 1.75 inch, and then we have some 3-inch titanium that we're going to do the same thing on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get these things all purged out, tacked together. We'll do a purge weld, then we'll pull the purge gas, and we'll do a non-purge weld. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got our setup here. Now, the purge plugs kind of raise the pipe off of the table a little bit. That's the only disadvantage to the silicone, is that with the aluminum plugs, it will actually contact the table where our ground is. So what I did was I set these up onto some copper blocking. The copper blocking is going to help us. So now what we've got going right now is we have our argon coming in from the side over here, and I hope you guys can see this. We've got our argon coming in from the side at about 15 CFH. It is now pushing in through the diffuser into the tubing and out this hole at the end. So I don't know if we can use a piece of paper, probably not, but take my word for it. We're pushing all the oxygen out and we're getting full argon flow inside. So now I set up this little GoPro here, hopefully get you a decent arc shot. I don't know how well it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. So here we go. And of course, as always, we're using our BBW, nice glass and brass cup from Michael Furick. These things are amazing, and I absolutely love them. So let's do this weld fully purged. Alright guys, so there's the weld that we did fully purged. Came out pretty decent, looks nice, looks like we got good penetration. Now we're going to take and pull the plugs out, and we are going to now lay this down on the bench, and we're going to weld it unpurged. Alright guys, and there's the unpurged outside weld. You can see it doesn't look too much different than the purged side, except for I had to definitely use more heat and more pedal to get the same effect of the weld. And as soon as we cut this thing in half, we'll be able to show you exactly what it looks like. But for right now, we're going to head over to the titanium and get that knocked out. Now guys, I'm just letting you know we might get a little bit of color in this titanium just because there's a little bit of a breeze in here today. And that little breeze, believe it or not, can cause all kinds of problems. So we're going to deal with it. At least you'll get to see the differences. Alright guys, sorry about that. We had a water line let go right in the middle of it. I don't know what the hell is up with this water line, but it pops every other day. It's driving me nuts. I got to get a new torch. So we are good, we're purged, we're going to get back into welding this joint. Alright, so there we go. We're not going to show you the horrific part that we blew a hole in. I'm sure you guys will see that in the video, but that's what happens when a breeze comes through the door and blows your argon coverage away. But we're in a nice, flat, shiny weld. Very little color, a little bit of straw, nothing crazy. So that's a good weld. So now we're going to pull the purge plugs out and we're going to weld the other side not purged. Alright guys, so there's the non-purged side. You can see we had a little bit of non-purged air come up through the gap on that one. And then, I don't know if you could tell, but here's the purge side. If you look at that bead width, the puddle was very easy to control when I had back purging behind it. On this side, you can see that it's very inconsistent. The width is inconsistent, the color is inconsistent, and that was just due to the fact that the puddle is super hard to control because I didn't have any backing gas on it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut both this and the stainless in half, and I'll bring you guys back and I'll show you exactly what the difference is. So I went ahead and cut apart both of the items. We're going to start with the stainless steel first. We'll show you the purge version first, then the non-purge version. You can see the difference. So remember, the outside weld looked like that. And now the inside weld actually looks pretty similar to the outside weld, which is what we want. This way we know we got full penetration to the inside of the metal. And not only did we get full penetration, but we have nothing inside of there that's going to break off and cause any problems. Now, assuming this is a turbo manifold, if something were to break off of that weld and head into the turbo, it would destroy it. So outside of the weld, inside of the weld. Now here's the non-purge version. There's the outside weld. For all intents and purposes, it looks great. But then when you go to the inside weld, you can see how nasty that is. You see all this raised area? We like to call that sugaring or powdering or, you know, whatever it may be. But that is all impurities that got into the stainless due to the heat buildup and the oxygenation of that stainless. So it oxidized and it caused all sorts of problems. Now this stuff can be very, very loose, and fortunately in this case it's not. But what you can run into a lot is that this stuff in here will break off and it'll end up in whatever you're building this manifold for. And you don't want to have that happen, because that could potentially destroy, you know, $1,000, $1,500 turbo. So now that you guys have seen what stainless steel does, we're going to show you what titanium does. So again, we had that issue where we blew the big hole in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the outside weld. This is the purge side. So very consistent, very well done, except for that where we blew the giant hole in it because the breeze came through. But pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And now here's the inside. So the inside pretty much looks just like the outside. And again, we have this nice bead right here that resembles the bead on the outside. So we know that we fully penetrated this metal. We welded all the way through it and we are absolutely good. Now here's for the shocker with this one, guys. This is the non-back purge titanium. Now for all intents and purposes, that bead, again, on the outside looks amazing, except where we blew the big hole in it. But other than that, looks great. Here's what the inside looks like. Yeah, not good. See all that whiteness in there that just wipes off with your finger? That's all nastiness. And I don't know if you guys could hear this, but we didn't go all the way through the metal. Our weld is laying right on the outside of that metal, and we didn't penetrate any of it. So we have a major problem with this weld. All right, so hopefully you guys can see. I tried to clean it up a little bit so that you can see the actual ledge that's in there, but this weld did not penetrate in any way, shape, or form. So that is the importance of back purging. And yeah. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, we got to use our brand new little purge plugs from Ticon Industries. These things are amazing. They're super quick and easy to use. Just pop them in, weld your stuff, and you're good to go. And as you can see in both the titanium and the stainless, they work wonderfully. They disperse the argon nicely and everything else. So we'll be using these a lot. You're going to see the different colors of these a lot in the future. And yeah, so first episode of the purge in the can, as they say. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's going to be a lot more. We're going to get into some more of our TIG basics. I think in the next video, episode 2, we're going to do machine choice and machine requirements for the type of welding that you're trying to do. And then we'll move a little bit further into torch selection, and we'll move into cup selection and things of that nature. And then we'll move further as the series goes on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the comments below. Let me know. Click that like button, click that subscribe button, and also too, go check out Ticon's site. If you guys are interested in these, they have these on their website. I think they start at about $100 for the smaller kit, and they go all the way up to about $300 for the full kit. What you guys saw today was the full kit. I highly recommend them. They're amazing. So yeah, I'll leave their link down in the description as well to where you can buy those, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Have a great day.
Yeah.